at eBoss, do a lot of training as well. Today, in line with our weekly Wednesday webinars, I am going to be focusing on the candidates. So what we have done is we have gone over our logs of questions that we have received from customers when they first join us, and then customers when they bring in new recruits, okay? And we're basically going to go through, just in the candidate section today, and we're going to ask, or answer, should I say, some of those most commonly asked questions. So I have a list of questions on my screen over here on the left. You can't see that. But if I forget any or get anything wrong, I have Jane here to prompt me and ask some questions. If you feel that you want to ask a question, at the bottom of the page, there's a section, I don't know, somewhere along the bottom of the page here where it says ask a question. I'll get notified, and then I will, if I haven't already answered the question, I will answer that specific question. Okay, so just before I get started, just make sure, if there's anybody that can't hear me, can you just let me know? So if you can see my mouth moving, but you can't hear any words, just let me know. Obviously, this is for the people who are watching this webinar not live. Obviously, this is going to be a pointless exercise because I won't be able to see any of your, I will actually be able to see some of your questions. So even if you're watching this webinar, you know, at midnight one night, or you know, when you've just joined a company a few months down the road, you will still be able to ask questions. We will get notified of them, and we will be able to answer them regardless of when you're watching this webinar. So apologies for contradicting myself there. Okay, so I am going to start with, obviously, this is the candidate page, okay? But in order to have candidates on your candidate page, you have to look at how you're going to actually add the candidates on. So if you are starting off afresh, you may want to import candidates using CVs that you have or using spreadsheets that you have. So over in the top right hand corner here, hover over your name, and then you go to the import section. Okay, so you can import different information for candidates, clients, and jobs, but today we're just going to focus on CVs and candidate spreadsheets. Okay, so a CV, you can, as it says here, you can basically upload 800 CVs for every 48 hours. Some clients think that means that they can only upload one zip folder of 800 CVs, wait 48 hours, and then upload another one. Upload them all, put them sitting in a queue, okay, and then they will start to add over a period of time. We say 48 hours, it just gives us a little bit of breathing space in case we have had to upload 100,000 files for a new client or something like that. But this self-service area is just nice and free for you guys. So if I just went into my CVs, you can see I've got a zip folder here. To create a zip folder, you would just select a whole bunch of your candidates, okay? And then you will, if I just do that, should be able to then just click on the button, and let me just see, right click, and then you would send to a compressed zip folder. Okay, so nice easy way to do that from your desktop. Then all you do is double click on the document, it's uploaded, and it's just sitting there awaiting processing. And you will see as the candidates add onto your database that zip folder is processing, obviously. That's nice and simple and straightforward. Not forgetting 800 CVs. If you have loads, just add them all on and they just sit in the queue, okay? With regards to spreadsheets, so we have a lot of clients who have information on spreadsheets, okay? And what you're doing here is uploading a spreadsheet. The only thing we'd say is, so if I just click on the process button here, it has to be in consistent format, okay? Just as simple as that. And then you would say first name, last name, and so on and so forth. And you'll see there's a whole raft of bits of information there. So again, really simple and straightforward, nothing too complicated. I believe there is a template there that you can download, which will give you a good idea of all of the headings that can be imported into the system. when it comes to this, when it comes to importing data, if you make a mistake, you don't worry, because you can delete all of that information. If you don't know how to delete the information, all you have to do is just jump onto chat, okay? And you can start a new conversation. Always best to start a new conversation, because it allows you to get in there, try our help center. So if someone isn't going to be around for 10 or 15 minutes, okay, and you can see here, typically replies within a few minutes, but if you're out of hours, that type of stuff, you can go in and ask a question here in the help center, and you will find that you'll probably get a video response. Okay, so you might even get a snippet of this video. But if you have any problems doing the upload, just jump in there, ask, or start a chat there. Okay, right. So is David sending a message about GDPR? That'll be another. We've actually done a couple of webinars on that already. Right. Showing you how to add candidates using a spreadsheet. I've shown you how to add candidates uploading a whole bunch of CVs at the same time. Now we have to look at adding candidates when you are up and running. So you can add candidates through your website. Okay, so there is an API that we provide. So if you wanted to integrate your website with your database, you can do that. And it means that when candidates apply for the job, they'll come onto the system, you'll be notified, and it'll tell you what jobs they have applied for. You can also, we provide you with something called email CV to database. So you can email CVs directly to the database. Okay, so again, if you want to know more information about that, just jump into chat and ask one of the guys. Or standard way, if you want to upload information from your CV, from your desktop, should I say, you can do it here. So I'm going to pick Paul Fennell. Now, there's every chance that this candidate already exists on the system, and if it does, the system won't let me upload it, okay, because it stops the system from creating duplicates. Okay, so I can go in there and I can say, look, it's Timothy Smith, but he's obviously shares the same email address as this candidate, as Paul Fennell that I tried to upload. Okay, so that's a good thing, which stops you from, like I say, creating duplicates. Let me just see. Can I email a single CV to the database? I got that. Can I add more than one CV to a candidate? Good question. I'm going to come on to that one now in a second. To answer the question again, just in case I didn't get that properly. Can I email a single CV to the database? Yes, we have something called CV to database. I've probably said it already, but it means that we'll give you an email address. You can fire it over to the database. It'll take 30 minutes to arrive on the database, but it's a nice and easy way to sort of link up Outlook with the system. Okay. Can I add more than one CV for a candidate? So you can have more than one CV. Very good question. But the system will only parse one CV for a candidate. So you will see here there's a whole row of candidates with a CV in the CV column, and then there's loads of other documents in the document section, as it were. Okay, so if we look here, Doris Morgan, if I click on the little eye icon, it'll show me her CV. Okay, and I can go in there, I can read that CV, I can make notes against that CV. I can store other documents, but if I wanted to upload another CV, it would kick this CV into that column, and then I would just select another CV, and that would become the parsed and searched CV. So I hope that answers that question, Jane. Right, so in terms of adding candidates onto the system, so I'm going to take just a safe bet here. Paul Fennell client version. Okay, now it's a client version CV because it doesn't have a name or email address on it, so it's probably going to come up with a blank name. Okay, yes it does. So if we go in and have a look at this candidate CV, we can see there's no name. So the system works fine, but obviously it hasn't extracted the name or the telephone number or the email address because there's nothing on the CV to do that. But I can go in there now and I can say Peter Fennell. Okay, so I don't have to put in an address. I can put in an email, pf@mail.com. Okay, and then we press save, and all of a sudden there's Peter Fennell there. Okay, so just showing you that sometimes you will get a candidate who has been added onto the system, and for some reason, if there's what? If they use a header and basically put all of their name and their contact details in the header, the software has been trained not to read the header. Okay, so that might be one reason. Or you might also have a situation where from a designy or an architectural background, people make lovely CVs and they create an image for their name and their contact details. Again, just like a photograph, the software can't read that. Okay, so I hope we're all clear on how to add candidates onto the system. I have gone into proper detail on that side of things. Okay, so if we now look at what we have here, we have Paul Fennell, leading marine engineer, Royal Navy. Okay, so current job title and current employer. And I can see here, I'm using the same CV for this guy here as well. In terms of functionality on this main page, okay, I'm ignoring GDPR for the moment because I just want to keep this sort of focused on day-to-day types of things, okay? If we want to make a phone call, we can go in there and we can, the telephone numbers will be there for the candidate. But if you remember, we uploaded this guy's CV and it didn't have any contact details on it. So let's jump into Paul Daniels, just make sure this guy's got telephone numbers and the like. Yes, he does. Perfect. So if we wanted to make a telephone call from what we call the list view, okay, let me just go in there now and go into the list view for a second. Just 1 second now. Okay, so Paul Daniels, click on the little telephone icon. I've got his telephone numbers there, so I can phone him. I can also copy the note into a client file, client contact file, and a job file. Okay, so if you want to spread the information throughout the system without having to duplicate your effort, you can do that very easily. Also, whatever you type in up here, you'll be able to then receive as a reminder for yourself. Okay, so if I go in call re-job, if I click in add reminder, we can see call re-job. It'll automatically select to remind me because I'm logged in, but if I wanted to remind somebody else, I can do that as well. Okay, and then I just press save. You've also got the ability with notes, so you can see any historic notes, okay, and you can add in new notes as well. So we can see all of the historic notes which have gone on there. And if I wanted to add in a new note, I can just click on this little icon here and add in a new note. Okay, same for reminders. Okay, just skipping this section for a moment. I've talked about uploading CVs and uploading documents, so you can do that from this page. Shortlists. Okay, shortlists. Some clients absolutely love shortlists and they live off shortlists. Okay, and what we have done here is we've made it easy for you to add candidates to shortlists on a one-by-one basis. Okay, you can add candidates to shortlists en masse, but in this section here, you can see all the candidates that are in the shortlists. Okay, sorry, you can see all the shortlists that exist, but you can also see the shortlists that this candidate exists in. So Paul Daniels exists in the Magic and the Mickey, Susan, Valerie shortlist. Okay, I can very easily go and add him to that shortlist, or I could take him off another shortlist. And as you can see, he's in multiple shortlists at the same time. I also have the ability to go in and create a brand new shortlist. Okay, so, sorry, 1 second now. Just go in there and type in brand new shortlist. Okay, so you can create your brand new shortlists as well. And by doing that against Peter Fennell, he is automatically added into that brand new shortlist. Okay, nice and simple way of doing it. I've been asked if I can email a candidate from the database. So to email a candidate from the database, it was next on my list, little email icon. So click on the little email icon and there you are. Okay, you have got the ability to choose a template. I think templates are a great time-saving bit of functionality. Plus, they allow and they promote sort of corporate consistency or just company consistency. Okay, so you can create as many as you want. Okay, and let's just see, initial email, you can see beautifully written by me, but you've got the tags in there. Okay, and that means that you don't have to worry about it saying dear whatever. It'll just automatically select dear candidate first name. Okay, so it's a great, quick and easy way of generating communication with your candidates. And again, any documents which are in Peter's record, you can upload them there, and you can also create a reminder off the back of that. Okay, and then press send, and away, it's in the notes section. Email has been sent successfully. Okay, hope that answers that question. But just before I finish answering that and just go on to the action section here, I've shown you everything in relation to one by one. Okay, if I wanted to select these candidates here, I selected 20 candidates. I could then write them all an email at the same time. I could submit their CV to a client. I could send them all a text message, or I could add them all to a shortlist. So go to shortlist management. I can either create a new one, okay, or I could say, do you know what, I want to add them all to the brand new shortlist. I could also copy that shortlist to a client and a job. Okay, so if I'm thinking about shortlisting candidates to a job, I can do that. So that's very quickly answered the question around sending emails, but also shown how to carry out some actions en masse. Okay, one thing the system does is it remembers what you have selected and it remembers your filter. So a couple of housekeeping issues. Don't ever forget to clear your selected, and always just hit on the clear button up here, because it'll just sort of flush it all out and get you back to the number of candidates that you have on the system. Okay. Up here, you've got a quick view. So if I wanted to go in and say, right, I want to see my brand new shortlist, as it were, I can come up here and I can filter that. Okay. I can also filter against a consultant. Okay. So if I wanted to see, let's say, all of the candidates in this shortlist who are allocated to Robert Ward, I can then see that. So brand new shortlist allocated to Robert Ward, and then track, which is something I'm going to come on to now. Track is where you can track the relationship between the candidate, the client, and the job. Okay, so you could then say, in this shortlist called brand new shortlist, all the candidates that are allocated to Robert Ward and that are at or have had a CV submitted. Okay, so it's a very good way of tracking what is going on for yourself. Okay, whether or not you don't use a shortlist, and whether or not you just filter against your own information there, your own candidates allocated to you. So I'm going to clear this, and then I'm going to come on to track. Okay, so like I say, track is the relationship between the candidate, the client, and the job. Okay, and if we pick Peter here for a second, there's no relationship between this candidate, any clients, and any jobs on the system. Okay, if we look down here at Michael, he's gone for an interview for the position of waitress at Loungers Limited. Okay, click on the eye icon. That was 26th of March. Okay, 2018. More information in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new track event. So just in case that was missed, click on the little plus button there. Okay, and what I'm going to say is I want to submit this guy's CV. I'm going to pick Loungers Limited as well, because I just remember that. So type it in, it appears there, and just see what I'll go for the waiter job. Okay, so at this point, do we want to add a note? Okay, yes, we do. Okay, we don't have to, but we can do. Do we want to be reminded about the event? Yes, we do, because we're busy people. Okay. Do we want to send an email to the candidate? Not on this occasion. But do we want to send an email to the client? Yes, we do. And again, this is where the template emails really come into their own. Submit CV, high contact first name, CV is all written. I can tweak that a little bit if I wanted to, so I can just get rid of little bits, whatever. Nice and simple. Scroll down. Here, we can see all the documents which are in Peter's file. We can also see all the documents which are in Loungers Limited. So if I wanted to attach service level agreements, We can also see down here, because I selected the Submit CV template, it's also attached to my standard terms and conditions because I attached that document to that email. Okay, so it just means you never forget that. So I press submit, and now we have got a situation where page is just going to reload now. Peter Fennell will show in the track column as CV submitted to Loungers Limited for the waiter position. That has updated on the candidate side, the client side, and the job side. So there's no need for you to go in and update the system everywhere else. It's done it here. Okay. Now, CV submitted, you receive a phone call from the client and they say, oh, we'd like to interview this person. There's two ways of updating the system now from this page. One, if you just want to sort of maintain a record, okay, you can go in here and you say interview. And all that does is it just puts a date and a timestamp on it to say, yep, Peter Fennell being sent for interview by Robert Ward. You will, of course, have to go and send the communication through eBoss, through Outlook as well, okay? But this is just putting that date and timestamp on it. But if you wanted to send the communication through the system, you just click on the Manage Track icon, and we're back to this page where you say, right, I'm sending them forward for interview. Add a note, make sure this information is correct, and do make sure this information is correct, because people think that the software is going to magically find the URL. If the URL hasn't been added to the client file, it's not going to appear here because that's where it's being picked from. Okay, so email to the candidate. We have a template email in there. Okay, brilliant. Now I know I've just removed the website, so let's get rid of that. Okay, and any documents I want to attach, I can. Email to the client, again, interview confirmation or interview notification. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And we're away. So now I have put that candidate forward for interview, and it's updated throughout the system, and I've communicated with the candidate and the client. Okay, I've been asked another question here. Can I place more than one candidate in a job? Yes, you can. So let's go into Peter Fennell for a second and have a look at the track page here. I'm in before, yeah, I'm in the grid view now, okay? The idea with the grid view is that you can do anything inside this candidate's record, literally within one touch. So have a look at the CV. Look at their employment record, look at their communication, send them an email, upload a document, whatever you want, you can do it. I'm going to go into Loungers Limited, so click on Loungers Limited, and it brings me into Loungers Limited. Scroll down there, it's already selected. Here's the waiter's position, okay? So there's Peter Fennell at interview. If I want, I can do a very quick click of the button here, and they're now placed in that position. Okay, but we have situations where some clients, they will just open a job, okay, and they'll say, right, we want 4 people for this position. So you can very easily go in there and you can show that 2 candidates are tracked or as placed against that job. Now, I am now in the client file in the grid view. Okay, I jumped from the candidate grid view page into the client grid view page. I'm updating it on the candidate. I'm updating it on the client side, but if I go in and click on Peter Fennell here, okay, so I'm being brought back in there, we can see that he's showing as placed in there, okay? So again, just to reiterate, that updated on one side and it'll update throughout the system. Hope that answers that question. I just want to make sure, see if there's any other questions. Okay, I've been asked a question about searches. So I have done a very detailed webinar on semantic searching. Okay, and I think in order to get the most out of the system when it comes to searching, you really should watch that webinar, because it goes into detail about how you can set up searches and how you can save your searches and get notifications on your searches. So what we've tried to do with this webinar is basically make it 25-30 minutes long, short enough to keep your interest, and hopefully maybe answer the vast majority of your questions. But if you have other questions, you can always fire them over in the Ask Questions section. But I think for the moment, I think I've done enough to whet your appetite. And like I say, if you do have any other questions, please feel free to get in contact. Even without watching the webinar again, you can just come in there and ask for a chat question. So I'm going to wrap it up now, and I will speak to you again next week. Take care.